When I first sat down with Alex Crum, aka AC Baby, I thought we were going to talk about the grind of going pro in pickleball, but what we got was something way, way deeper. This is a guy who had everything lined up in tennis, coaching overseas in Germany, climbing his own competitive ranks, until a wrist injury forced him to let go of everything he thought he was building, really forcing him to pivot. What came next was honestly pain, some rediscovery, and eventually pickleball. But Alex didn't just step into the sport. He truly brought all of himself with him. The music, the creative energy, the hunger to prove he belongs, and the mental edge to keep going even when his mom was called into the hospital the day before his gold medal match at APP New York City. And the story of how he navigated that was just truly incredible. So we talk about the real stuff, honestly, the identity shifts, proving yourself in a sport where tennis players are both respected but also resented in many aspects, and why staying playful might be the most underrated strategy of them all. So if you ever had to start over, this one's for you. And to be honest, all of us had to pivot at some point in our lives. All of us had to start over at some point. So if there's anything I could promise you, you could absolutely relate to it. At the end of the day, this is one of my favorite conversations I've had yet. And I really hope that it fills your cup. It just gives you a little bit of more energy to go tackle the rest of your day. Enjoy the conversation. What is your greatest failure?
I would probably say early in my 20s, I kind of fell off the wagon, so to speak. Like I failed out of school, had some really bad habits, just sort of totally lost sense of self when I was probably around 20. And it took me like years to sort of like reclaim my identity, reclaim my personality. Um, so I did end up going back to school and making all of those things right. But in my early 20s, there was definitely a moment where I was like, you've had this great life up to this point. You've been successful. You're an accomplished athlete. You always had good grades. And then you just kind of, threw that all out to the window for a while. And so I would say that like my sophomore year in college, when I just, stopped going to class, stopped doing the right things, partying too much, not playing tennis anymore. I couldn't physically, but that was sort of the lowest point, I would say, for me, just as far as how I felt about myself.
What was your mental space like then? What were you thinking about? Because it's not an easy thing to navigate and even bounce back out of with where you are today.
Just no confidence, right? No confidence in day-to-day interactions. I think when you're in a good mental space, you approach every interaction with sort of confidence and clarity. At least I feel that way now. And back then, even the smallest interactions, like almost like pained me, were a struggle for me because I would always try to smile and put on a happy face, but I knew how much I was internally questioning everything about myself. And so like I couldn't show up for the people around me. I couldn't show up for strangers in the way that I feel now. I'm in a position to like help others when they're going through stuff. So I would just say like that, like being unsure of myself in just the smallest interactions with others.
Did you have somebody in your life that ended up helping you out of that state that you were in, or did you wake up one day and say, I got to do something about this?
Yeah. I mean, my family, my parents and my siblings and close friends have always been so supportive of me in anything that I've done. I would say when I was like 24, I got into a relationship unexpectedly. Uh, Long story, but I met a girl in Punta Cana from Germany, and we ended up dating for like 3 or 4 years. It was kind of one of those, like TV romance type of things, and like
Hmm.
I think that like that relationship sort of like allowed me to reclaim my confidence. So I was like, okay, like there's this other person who didn't know me before I was at my low point, and she likes me for me. Like that's what I'm presenting to her. And so the relationship ended up not working out. It's a long story, but she and I are still friends. And but I think that was like, I had built myself back up over years by working, going to school, doing the right things, but then like being like, okay, like there is still someone out there who like finds you interesting and cool and funny. Like that was kind of a big moment for me, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. I think it gives you the perspective that you can do something about who you are, and if you don't like who you are right now, you have the ability to change that, right? And it sounded like that different perspective or lens allowed you to understand that, which is really like good for anybody listening and cool. But really, what I want to know about here is off the court, beyond the content, the music that you do. Who is Alex? Who is Alex Crum when the cameras are actually off?
Believe it or not, like the same exact person.
Okay.
Like the same exact person. Like I'm a clown for like 80% of the time, right? I'm very sarcastic. I like struggle with it because I feel like people don't have the sense of humor that I have. And like, I'm joking like typically all of the time. And like, some people get it, some people don't. But obviously there are those moments where like I'm not on, but like in my line of work, when I'm teaching tennis for 9 hours a day, like I am exactly what you see online or anything like that, like positive, energetic, outspoken, um, you know. And so really what you see is what you get, which is why like when all of this stuff has sort of happened, like those who know me and have known me for years and years and years are like, yeah, like we're not like, yeah, of course. Like he finally like, whatever. Like no one is surprised who knows me or has ever known me by any of this that sort of happened. So yeah, I people will always say that, I guess, but like I'm really pretty much the exact same off the camera, and yeah,
What would your mother describe you as?
a goofball, creative, sensitive, funny. Um, I don't know. I mean, it's my mom, so she's gonna say all the greatest things about me, right? But I would say goofy would be the first thing that would come to her mind.
So, kind of diving into the piece that is so really important to you around your life and what you shaped around, and where we're getting to is your explosion in pickleball. Can you describe to me like what your relationship with sports growing up actually was?
Yeah, I mean, sports has been such a critical thing for me in my life. Like, not only playing and competing, like as a high level junior tennis player, and like I also played basketball and baseball, but like I'm a psychotic sports fan. And so, like, I don't know how much people know about Louisville, Kentucky, but like people in Louisville, like, eat, sleep, breathe sports. Like, if you look at the Nielsen
Oh yeah.
ratings for like who watches the most amount of sports, like, Louisville is number one, like, in almost every, like, people here just like eat, drink, do whatever, and watch sports. So, like, it's everything in my life. Like, things me and my brother bond on, like going to Louisville games. When I lived in Germany for a while, like going to Dortmund games is what I look forward to every single week. So I think there's so much serious stuff going on in the world, and like, sports give us an outlet. And I also think that, they teach us a lot about life as well. So, um, as a competitor, I love competing, but I also just like love the pageantry, love the passion of sports in every way.
Do you feel like you were naturally talented at
Yes.
sports, or did you feel like you were?
Certain things, right? So my hand eye, I would
Okay.
say, I think is exceptional. My touch, I think, is exceptional. Like I'm horrible with my feet. Like I couldn't kick a soccer ball in a straight line if you gave me $1 million. Like I can't. I tried snowboarding one time in France and like ran into 3 trees, almost broke a leg, and was like, not for me. So like balance wise, like as far as that, or like foot skills go, like I'm absolutely awful. Um, I'm not very physical. Like in basketball, like if you leave me open within like 35 feet, I'm cash. But like if you try to get me to get a rebound, I'm like, I'd rather not. You know, like no defense. I just shoot threes. So I would say, like, again, like from a touch, like rackets, hand eye ability, I think I'm extremely talented. But in a lot of the other athletic departments, I would say I'm not at all a talent. Like that's just I have a small skill set in terms of sports.
So when you first picked up a racket, was it pretty natural for you, or did you struggle with tennis when you
No,
first started?
no, it was super natural. Like I
Like you
remember the
just
first time I played, like, yeah, I felt like pretty comfortable out there when I was like 7 or 8 or whatever it was. Like I could rally from the jump, uh, which like you find that sometimes, but it is rare. Like tennis
yeah.
is like I can tell in a kid like typically if they have an aptitude for it like almost instantly. Um, Now after that, there's like hard work and like there are people who aren't inclined with a racket that can develop their skills and become a decent tennis player. But as far as like talent goes, like if they're below the age of 6, it's like hard to say. But like when they're like 6, 7, I can tell like within 30 minutes.
Did did you? That's so interesting. So did your parents play tennis? Did you watch someone playing tennis growing up? Like the whole modeling concept of watching your parents walk, so you walk, or were you just a prodigy?
I wouldn't say I was a prodigy, but I mean, my dad was like a very good athlete, like baseball,
Okay.
soccer, and then tennis. He played. He thought he probably could have been the best at tennis out of the three, but that was like his third sport or fourth sport even.
Mm.
So he was like a very good baseball player and soccer player. So, but he and I like that's kind of how I started playing. Is like I would just go out and hit with my dad, and like he was a pretty like him and his 4 brothers. Like they're all really good athletes. So my mom is
What?
not an athlete. She's a creative one.
So that's probably where the music comes from that we'll eventually talk about, I
Yeah,
would
hundred
presume.
percent.
What? Why'd you go to Italy? Or not Italy, Germany. Why'd you go to Germany? What brought you
Germany
over there?
initially, yeah, I was
Yeah.
circling back to what I said. Met a German policewoman in Punta Cana on like a random vacation that I wasn't even like gonna go on, but I got a free ticket like last second, and I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. Actually, I'll tell you, I almost didn't go because so the year that I went was the year that Louisville football was the Lamar Jackson year. So we had just beaten Florida State at home at noon by 10,000 points. Like it was the greatest day of my life. And like actually a friend of mine's like girlfriend like cheated on him and she had a ticket and they were like, you're not going on this trip, like we're not taking you, like you're it was a group of friends and they're like, who can we invite that will like fit in? They're like, ask AC, like he'll probably come. And I literally almost didn't go because I was like, if I can't watch the Louisville Clemson game, which was the next week when they were 3 in the country and won the national championship that year, I think, with Deshaun Watson, I was like, I'm not going to Punta Cana. Anyway, like we got there at like 4 p.m. and I spent the first like 4 hours talking to the hotel staff trying to get the game on, which I did. Like I figured it out at like 7:30. Drank like 500 beers and then we lost like in a heartbreaker. It was like an epic game. But anyway,
You
so
weren't kidding.
all of that to say, no, I'm not kidding. All that to say,
Yeah.
yeah. So I met this German girl in Punta Cana. Like we flirted, had a great time down there. 2 months later, she came to America. 2 months later, I went to Germany. 2 months later, we went to like we traveled the world on and off for like 2 years, and then ultimately, we were at a point where it's like, all right, like we can't. Number one, I have no money left. Number two, we got to figure out if this is like a vacation thing. Like, do we like it's not real life what we're doing? So I moved over there. It was just tricky because like I was like hitting tennis balls like 3-4 hours a day, and she was like almost getting stabbed by like Romanian like gypsies like in downtown Dortmund like every day. So it was like it's like, how was your day? She's like, yeah, this dude stabbed me in the neck with a pen. And she's like, how was your day? I was like, like I ate like a few kebabs. Like I don't know. So it was just hard. The day-to-day life was like very difficult, and so I ended up, it was tough, but I ended up moving back home. And we broke up, obviously, and now she's got a couple beautiful kids who I've met, and I've met her husband, and we're boys, and so that's why I was in Germany. German police one.
What about their relationship? Because I think this is so key to like just about how people go about not only like romantic relationships but platonic throughout life. Like, what allowed you to have the capacity to keep someone that supported you throughout your entire life still in your life, even after it went from romantic to platonic?
So I'll say this, right? Like, I think, say if you're dating someone that lives in your hometown, okay? And I knew that my ex-girlfriend had a new boyfriend like pretty quickly after we broke up. Like, I knew that, but I didn't have to run into them at the bar. I didn't have to see them. I didn't have to, and it sucks. Like, I hurt badly for like 6 to 8 months probably. but I never had to see it if I didn't want to. At first, I was watching Instagram and this, that, and the third, but then I just kind of blocked that out of my mind, and I never had to run into them, right? And so that was one of the nice things about them being in a different country. I think it's tough. Like if you're still wounded and you go out to the bar and you see him with their other person, like there's alcohol involved, like it can just get really hairy really quickly. And to be honest, like that could have happened. But the fact that there was so much distance in between us allowed me time to heal, reshape my whole perspective and lens at which I looked at the entire relationship. And then, I've been back twice now, but the first time I went back was 2 years ago. And, I remember thinking like I sat with them in their living room with this guy, Christos, who like initially I hated, like when I first knew about him, and we were cracking jokes and, talking about our times and everything else. It's like, I think life's too short. Like I had such a special time with her over the course of those 3-4 years. And it was such a unique situation. Like she introduced me to Europe, basically. She introduced me to the world at large. Like I'm from Kentucky. I traveled in the United States, but that's it. So it's like, why would I not want this person still in my life? And it's not like we talk all the time now, but because of the uniqueness of the situation, it enabled me to like keep a good relationship with them.
Why was that so important to you to keep that relationship?
Yeah, it's just how I am. It's how I want to be in life. Like she played, again, like I was mentioning earlier, like a pretty instrumental role in like helping to sort of pull me out of what was like the darkest time of my life. And like we had some of the funnest, like I'll never be 26 in Iceland like watching the Super Bowl at 2 a.m and look up, see the northern lights. Like I'll never do stuff, like I'll never do that again. Those memories will stick with me forever, you know what I mean? And I look at it even now like in a platonic way, but it was still like these surreal moments for me. First time landing in Germany, like whoa, like you know what I mean, like this is crazy. So yeah, that's why.
Being in like such a tough period of your life, like you said, in your 20s, how did experiencing so many different cultures like really impact your perspective that you knew now were having on life in that time?
Yeah, I just think when when you see the way that other people live and you see, the means and you see like what their everyday is life and you start to hear more stories of struggle and perseverance and things like that, it just reframes your whole outlook. And I think it happens as you get older because like in the moment, like I remember when I was like 23, I'm like, man, I've ruined everything. Like I'm too old to put out music now. Like no one's going to take me seriously, like yada, yada. And now I'm 33 and I'm like, I could give two hoots and people still want to listen to my music and people still, you know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah.
there's that weird age from like 20 to like 26 where you just like feel super old for no reason at all, even though you're not. And then you kind of have this like revival towards your late 20s into your 30s where you just are like, you know what? I'm the same exact person that I was when I was 20. I'm just wiser. I'm better spoken. I'm more traveled. I'm more confident. At least that's been my experience where when you're that young, you're just still very unsure of yourself, I think. I mean, not everyone, but a lot of youngsters, I think, are.
Yeah, because I get this vibe from you and this understanding. You can correct me if I'm wrong. That you really understand you're going to be judged no matter what you do, and you choose to be yourself anyways. And I feel like that's very, very tough to do. So the reason I wanted to dive into that is because, like, what was the evidence? What was the experiences that you had to allow you to get there? Because I feel like so many people struggle to really get to that point where they understand no matter what, people are going to judge them on both sides of the fence. But the best way you could stay true to yourself is to do who you feel that you are. And I feel like you're doing that.
Yeah, I just think that you can start to blur the lines between like who you are and who you want to be when you start doing that. Like, obviously, like, I'm not a moron, right? Like, if I'm teaching tennis to, an older gentleman who's 85 and is a billionaire and like is a little stiffer, like, I will be myself, but in like a more conservative, controlled manner.
Mm.
Um, but I think, again, if you're constantly altering your personality and putting on fronts and this, that, and the third, again, you can lose sense of who you are. And it's taken me a while to get to this point, to be comfortable in like, what do I think about the world? Who do I want to be? How do I want to be perceived? All of those things. I just finally kind of came to a point, and this has happened, I'd say, over the last probably about like 3-4 years ago, where I was really at the point where it was just like, if I lead with kindness and I lead with empathy and I lead with understanding, like I don't, that's all you know what I'm saying? Because there were periods in my life where like everyone was like, AC, you're the man, you're the greatest. And then I look at myself in the mirror and be like, you're a piece of shit, dog. Like you haven't been working hard. You haven't been doing anything. You've been sleeping on the couch, taking 3-hour naps. Like, but the rest of the world at large, like thought I was doing great. So for me now that I know I'm like living my truth more authentically, putting in the work, like treating people with kindness, like showing up, being present. When I do that, it's like I could care less what anyone else says.
What's Alex Crum's purpose today?
Today, show up, be present. I had a great pickleball practice session in the morning. Did an interview with a friend of mine who's a Navy SEAL and had some cool questions about pickleball. I'm going to dinner with my family, which is great because it'll be the first dinner that my mom has had like outside of the hospital and all that in the last couple of weeks, and she's doing great. And then I'm meant to go to the recording studio at 9 to finish up what is going to be the biggest pickleball song of all time.
We will definitely get into that.
Yeah,
we might have to tease that a little bit.
It's going to be electric.
I want to touch on what you brought up. You had a really challenging experience recently that you briefed me on, and I won't do the story justice, but I'll at least brief it for you. And you played in APP NYC recently, and you got a phone call that your mother was in the hospital and having trouble. And I really wanted to key in on how you were able to still compete moving forward and even play in the championship. And actually, anybody that goes back and watches the match, the word compete really describes it very, very well. I mean, it was a dogfight out there. So what allowed you to really do that and navigate that, even knowing what was going on in your personal life?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, leading up to that point, okay, I've beaten the number one player on both tours in the world. It looks like all these opportunities are going to fall into my lap, and I'm going to take them and run with them, and it's all good. And then, the morning of the championship match, I got a text that my mom had been intubated, like literally almost died. And I'm like, for half the day, I remember I was in a Target in Chinatown, like buying Band-Aids for my stupid thumb. And I'm like, what the heck, man? Like, are you serious? Is this really happening to me right now? Like, I've always been very self-aware in the sense that like I've had no real tragedies happen to me in my life, in my family. Like I just haven't. Like both my grandparents are still alive on my dad's side. Like no one in my family, no one I've ever been really close to in my life has like died suddenly. Like I'm always thinking about that and just being like, wow, how blessed and how lucky am I? But I'm always waiting for the shoe to drop, because that's just like statistically, it probably will at some point. And so I was just thinking there, it's like, how would I even do anything if my mother passed away today? Like, you know what I mean? And the news got progressively better as the day went on. And they're like, she's not going to die today. Like she's sedated. There's no brain damage. And so like my dad, who I was talking to the whole time, like he was like, your mother would want you to play. Like she's fine. She's where she needs to be. We're going to figure it out. Like she would want you to play. And so, like the alternative was just like not playing and like stewing, which I think would have been more toxic for me. So I don't think I played very well, especially for like 85% of the match. Obviously in the second game, I was glad that I showed some like resilience and like made it a battle, and was stoked they put it on ESPN because they never put singles on TV. But yeah, I was just proud of the way that I sort of battled. I mean, it was challenging to go out there. And again, I've said this before, but like Armand could beat me like on my birthday, you know what I'm saying? Like when I'm feeling great, like he's that good of a player, but certainly was difficult to like replicate my mentality as this like killer when I'm like, I don't really give a shit at the end of the day. Like in terms of this matters so little in comparison to that.
You mentioned in a couple other interviews that you used to be a basket case on the court.
I still am, like, but less so.
I was gonna ask you, what is the new mentality that you bring to the court?
I mean, just that hunter mentality. Like this conversation I had with my dad where he was like, I feel like you've had a little success. And so now when you step out there, you're almost afraid to lose. Like you always want to be the hunter, not the hunted. right? And so it's like, it doesn't matter if you know that you're a lion and like you're going head to head with a warthog. It's like that warthog could still get in a good lick and take you out. Like, you don't want to be like, I'm the lion of, I can't lose to a warthog. Like, of course not. Like, I can't lose. You still need to be like, I'm taking this warthog out. You know what I mean? So I think that's sort of the mentality. Like, no matter who I play, what the scenario is, it's like, you got to go out there and be a dog or you're going to get beat.
Are you really close to your family?
Very close. Call my dad like 3 times a day when I'm at home.
I was going to ask you, do you lean on your family a good bit through these challenging times as an athlete?
Yeah, for sure. Or even like when I was in Germany, I used to like, me and the girl would get in a fight. I'd call my dad at like 5 a.m. Eastern time, like hungover, like crying. And he'd be like, dude, stop calling me this early. But then he would talk to me, you know? So yeah, man, I mean, I know like to grow up with 2 parents who love each other and 2 siblings who we all get along. And my sister just got married. I officiated the wedding. So it's like, family's everything to me. And yeah, like they're just like, yeah, like no one, they're not like surprised or anything, but they're just kind of like rolling with it. But obviously, like, you know, even my dad, like, I know he's so proud of me. I know he's so stoked on this, but like his focus right now is like totally on the health of my mom. Like, I can even tell like sometimes when I'm talking to him about things like, yeah, I just talked to this guy or I'm going to be on CBS, whatever. And like, he gets it and he's happy, but I can tell it's like the other things are on his mind, like understandably so. So
has your family always really been there on the sidelines through this entire journey?
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially like when I was at my lowest low. Like, if my son does some of the stuff I did when I was like 2021, I'm punting him into the Atlantic Ocean. No, I'm kidding. I'd like to think not, but yeah, like even when I was a maniac for a little while there, like they were still like, we know who he is deep down. He just doesn't know who he is, you know? So he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And eventually I did.
Do you kind of allude to that? We're talking really about the emotional toll here that any sport really has on you and really leaning on your external, you know, system or relationships in order to support you. Do you think people underestimate the emotional toll that athletes really silently carry?
Yeah, probably. Probably so. I mean, I think there are mechanisms to like deal with it as an athlete. I mean, I think every situation is different, right? Like, I think when you're
What do you
competing
do?
for your livelihood, it's a unique thing, right? Like, no one wants to fail, no one likes to lose. But like, if you're going out there to compete, but you're getting paid like millions and millions of dollars to do it, like, I know pressure, I know all those things are still there, but it's different. Whereas like, you know, if you're an athlete who like the best example I can think of is like tennis. Like, if you're like 180 in the world, right? You're not making a great living. You're probably barely making ends meet. Like, I think there's a different feeling involved in that, where it's like, if I don't win, I might not eat tonight, that kind of thing. And I think, yeah, it's a specific instance, but in pickleball, that's like it's sort of there for some people. Like, I'm like, if I don't, you know, have a big tournament, this tournament, like I got to wait 3 more months for another big chance. And maybe I'll never break through. Like, I know I'm talented enough, but yeah, I don't know. I think my advice is just, you got to just stay present. You can't think too ahead as far as like, what happens if I win? What happens if I lose? You have to try to stay in the moment as best you can.
Has the following increase changed you at all, or your perspective, you think? The only reason I ask that is because I've definitely noticed, since you have been climbing the rankings, really putting your name on out there, doing some podcast episodes, as well as having all the success. I don't think too long ago you got to 10,000 followers, and then you're approaching 20,000 now. Does that change your lens at all?
No. I mean, I've like, the thing is, like, people don't understand. It's like, I've been doing like goofy content on Instagram for like a long time. Like,
Yeah.
I used to do chip reviews, which actually I'm bringing back. Like, I've been doing like my 100 things I love for a long time. Like, I'll sometimes just like randomly get on the camera and like talk shit for a sec, like about sports or whatever. Like, I've been doing this like for a while. I was like, if I ever like have an audience, like, I think I'm funnier than like 99% out other of these jokesters online who are making like hundreds of grand and like put out garbage. So like, if I ever get the opportunity, like, I think will have a good opportunity to do content and be successful with it. But No, not really. Maybe the only thing I would say is like, yeah, sure, I'm posting more frequently and stuff like that. Like, but I'm also not working right now, so like I have time. Like, I'm online, buddy. Like, you call me out, or you collab with me on a reel, or you say something to me in the comments. Like, I'll be on your ass in about 30 seconds. So it's like I got nothing but time right now. I'm not on the tennis court 9 hours a day right now.
Oh my God. I love
Kevin
that.
Durant, man.
In the heart of stirring the pot, and I was hoping that we'd get here to stir the pot a little bit, some controversial takes. You've now been playing tennis for a significant period of time and at a high level. You said you're roughly on the court 9 hours a day. A lot of tennis players assume that pickleball is easy. Do you also assume now that pickleball is pretty easy with the success that you've had?
I would say this: it's easy to play and very difficult to master. Like, I know tennis players, like dudes that are like were like top 100, top 200 in the world, that I would absolutely annihilate on the pickleball court, and they play pickleball like not as much as I do, or they don't compete like that. But I'll two piece them in singles over and over and over again. If they took me out to a tennis court, they would annihilate me. So like I think people just have a hard time understanding that there are different skill sets required for both sports. Same thing in ping pong, dude. Like any high level ping pong player is going to destroy Yannick Sinner in ping pong. Even a low level pro is going to destroy Yannick Sinner in ping pong. So the only thing that bothers me is like when people are like coming at me being like pickleball's easy, like tennis is the great game. And I'm like, dude, what's your level? Tell me your level of tennis first, brother. Like if you're a high level tennis player, like high level Division 1, and you can go out there and you're going to beat me, then I'll allow you to like poo poo pickleball. Like, okay, that's fine. That's your prerogative. But if I'm going to go out there and you can't win a point on me, like shut your mouth, dude. Like, sorry, but that's just like, you have no place to talk from.
What do you think the biggest mental or physical difference is between the two?
Yeah, there's a lot more. There's a lot less time involved in pickleball to stew. Like, if I could, I was talking about this earlier. Actually, if I could feasibly have 10 to 15 bad minutes on a tennis court, even longer than that, I could have a bad 30 minutes. Assume like 30 minutes is a short set in tennis. Like, you won't typically have a set that's less than that. I mean, occasionally it happens, but I could have a horrible 30 minutes and figure it out. If I have a bad 5 minutes in pickleball, it's going to be really hard for me to win that match. So like that's one huge thing for me is like you got to figure it out and figure it out quickly.
What do you have a framework or structure or way that you go about figuring it out quickly? Because I feel like that is a such a major question that everybody has in pickleball is how do you solve this complex problem rapidly?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something I need to work on, right? Like I still am like when I go out there and play, I just play my game, and typically that's good enough. But I'm working to like develop a little bit more of a strategic brain with that when I'm playing, and like trying to pinpoint my opponent's weaknesses, this, that, and the third. I mean, generally speaking, I feel like it doesn't matter what their strengths and weaknesses are. Like if I play well, I'll win no matter what I do.
By
Um,
playing your game, do you mean just play freely? Like you're not really thinking about it, you're just kind of
Yeah, just
doing
rip
it?
the ball. Just rip it.
Yeah.
But I have been working on a little bit more finesse and a little bit more, again, more patterns and thoughtful playing. But again, as far as like, what do you do? I mean, the timeout I think is just so important. Like when I first started playing professionally, like I would just dump 8 returns in a row and be like, I suck. And then like that was that. I'm like, dude, now if I miss even 2 returns in a row, I will typically always call a timeout. Like
Yeah.
sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, right? But like I will do it just in the hopes that it'll work. It's better than like letting it completely unravel, which is easy. It's easy for that to happen.
It really is. And the reason I asked that question is because, like you mentioned, the games are just so short,
Yeah.
so short. Also, and the reason I'm getting at the length here is also the mental difference. Like, how does it also tax you mentally from coming from tennis that's more longer duration versus pickleball? Do you feel like there's more pressure knowing that you do not have as much time in pickleball? Or do you feel like it's just more wear and tear on the tennis court because it's so long and drawn out?
No, yeah, I would say pickleball, like as far like in singles anyway, is like more mentally challenging for me. Um Because again, you go out there and you're like that feeling right when the first ball's in, you're just kind of like very on tilt. Whereas like again, tennis, like sometimes I would just sort of work my way into a match a little bit more. You don't really have time to do that in pickleball. I mean, you do, but it's a lot less than in tennis for sure.
Yeah, you know what? I haven't really framed it that way, meaning comparing it to other sports where, so as we talked about kind of off air a little bit, I'm a hockey guy and in the background, and the difference there is that you can use a lot of that adrenaline, but you also do settle in. Like you have 3 20-minute periods.
Right.
So like you could use a whole period to settle in and come out the next two and dominate. You see that happen with teams all the time.
100%.
But you're right. You're right. In pickleball, you just don't have that window to settle in is so compressed. You almost have to step on the court already settled in.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, all right, sure, you could like lose the first game badly and then find your way. But it's like third games in pickleball like are totally a lot about like who starts better, which sometimes is dependent on luck and other factors, right? Like if you come out and you're not sharp in game one, you find it in game two. Like once it's game three, like you're both tight again. You know what I mean? No matter what. So it's like in my experience in game threes, it's like often like who wins the first couple of points, and that's that, right? A lot of times, not always, obviously, but um, yeah.
What do you think that in that retrospect, like now that we're kind of diving into some of the weeds in not only the game, but I want to look at a bigger picture in pickleball here. What do you think are the things that are holding pickleball back the most in the sport? Meaning, because so many people are playing it, right? Amateurs, I mean, I think we saw it's somewhere between 30 and 50 million are playing now. And if we're using tennis as a comparison to other pro sports and you being involved in the scene now too, what do you think are the biggest things holding it back from being in that category of tennis, NHL, MLB, NFL, etc.?
In terms of the professional game,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I think gambling is a huge part of it,
Mm,
right? Like,
I agree with you.
the problem is, and I've talked about this a little before, is that like, for example, like I can bet on a Taiwanese tennis match at 3 a.m. Um, because UTR is such a refined system, which is the universal tennis rating. Like you will almost never have a 13.2 lose to a 12.8. Like it happens, but it's a statistical anomaly because that rating system is so refined. Duper is a
Mm,
great system, but it is not there yet. And so the problem is that books just don't know how to make lines. Like they'll occasionally pop up here and there, but from my understanding, whenever these lines pop up, they get annihilated, and then it doesn't happen again for a while. So again, my friends who are degenerates and sports junkies and watch everything, they will not watch doubles pickleball if they don't play pickleball. Now, if you play it, it's a little bit different. But my friends who don't play pickleball, which is a lot of them, will not watch doubles. They think it's boring. They don't understand. I mean, I get the hand speed and the focus and like all of that stuff. Of course, I understand it, but I think that is a big shoe to drop. The other thing is like from like a spectator viewing thing, like it's really hard to make like a epic stadium in pickleball. Like I think we'll get there to where like you can have like 1,000 person like arenas, but it's a small court. You know what I mean? Like even Padel, like I've seen some sick Padel build outs, like down in Miami and everywhere else, like where they're running outside the court. Just appears to me like the live experience is a little better than it is in pickle right now. And then the last thing is that I think Major League Pickleball, like until we have, I think Major League Pickleball could be the thing that sort of sets it off. But until we have continuity on rosters, until we have teams based in actual cities, uh, your pickleball people will care, but your casual fan will not, right? So like
mm.
you had the Louisville Aces who were based in Louisville and they had a home club. Not that people need to live here for it, but if you had matches on Tuesdays, twice a week, and it's like, all right, pickleball night, you would get pickleball players in Louisville to come out and get engaged with the players and to buy the merch and all that. If you've got the Phoenix Flames playing against the Toronto Maple Leafs at, 4 p.m. on a Tuesday in Washington, D.C., it's like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, and I know that, again, there are logistic hurdles to clear there, but those are my three things. If you can do those three, I mean, the amateur side's only going to continue to explode, but two separate conversations.
I completely agree with your takes on this. Um, Continuing on your pickleball journey here, I want to get a little bit into the weeds because we talked off air a little bit on you doubling down on this for the past really year in doing some training, and now you're doubling down even more after your success. So what does now the regimen look like, the routine, the habits, the structure that you know it's going to take in order to get to that number one spot in singles, like I've heard you talk about?
Yeah, I mean, to be frank, I think just playing right now, like, but the difference is now when I'm approaching these practice sessions, I'm not just going out there and playing. I'm coming out there with like a goal in mind or something specific that I want to work on, which I've literally never done up to this point. So, I do think I have a real natural inclination for the game. It just has always felt right to me from the first time I hit a ball. But now, like practicing with intention, like I'll be honest, I've played like 3-ish, 4-ish hours every day for the last 10 days. I feel like I'm like twice as good as I was 10 days ago, to be completely honest with you. Like just
I love that.
comfortability, like everything just feels so much better. And yeah, as I continue to grow into this, like I'm gonna have to start doing nutrition, fitness, all that stuff because I haven't been in a gym in like 20 years. I eat pizza every night. Like I don't. There's other things I do that are not ideal. Like I'm on caffeine 24/7. Listen, there's worse things, right? Like I don't drink all that much or anything like that, uh, but I'm taking it step by step. First, let me actually practice and take it seriously. Then I'll start taking fish oil. My
Was
agent
your
sent me like 8 things of supplements. He's like, dude, you need to buy
Oh
all
my
this
god.
stuff. I was like, bro, all right, you could send it to my house then. Wants me to take like 8 magnesium pills. I'm like, what does that do, bro?
Who
I got no clue.
I'll set you up with a nutritionist. I
Yeah,
got
I
you if you
trust you.
need
You
one.
seem like the kind of guy who treats his body right. I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, we could talk about that more definitely off air. I'm definitely a guy who is into the health and
I
wellness space as you could
listen.
possibly
I That's
imagine.
amazing. I want to be. I don't know. Like I use this analogy. It's like if you put premium gasoline in like an old Corolla, like that thing's not going to run well. That's kind of how I feel with my body. I'm like, if you put premium gasoline into this old, like I might just break down. If I start eating sweet green every day, like I don't know what'll happen to me.
I'll tell you the difference though. I'll give you an analogy that's different. In that case scenario, you would go and buy a new car.
Ah,
In your case scenario, you can't go buy a new car, but your body does have the ability to regenerate and become a new car.
okay. So
Does that
I could
that
transform
make sense?
myself into like a
A robot.
2024
Yeah.
like matte black range.
Absolutely.
Okay, all right. That's
Absolutely.
you're talking my language. That's something that could get me to change my habits.
That makes
The
sense?
visualization. Yeah, I like that one.
So, how did you find so much success in tennis then? Like what I know you said that it came so naturally to you. Did that carry you all the way through college?
I mean, yeah, I only really played for 6 months because of the wrist thing. So it
Mm.
was primarily success in the junior stage, and then even after that, like when I first started teaching, I would compete. Um, I mean,
This
dude,
is perfect.
my backhand is just a weapon of net. So I throw righty, but I bat lefty. I play hockey lefty. So
You're one of
like
those weird guys.
yes, dude. In mini golf, I'm freaking like Happy Gilmore. So like my backhand was just always and still is like I could just throw my 160-pound frame into the ball, and for some reason I'm able to hit it harder than anyone else. But it just if I always say like if I were having to hit a backhand on this side, which is what it feels like for most people that are like I'm a righty, I bat righty. Like I don't know what I would do. It would take me a long time to figure it out.
I'm glad you brought up the wrist injury because that's really where I wanted to get to. So let's talk about your wrist injury a little bit. What happened and how did it really derail your original path?
Yeah, I mean, I lost blood flow to this bone called the triquetrum. You probably didn't know that, but it's a tiny little bone in your wrist. And I was just having wrist pain like my junior year, and we went and saw these two German dudes who are like the highest rated wrist doctors in the world, and they were like, "Yeah, he's lost blood flow to this part of his wrist, and we've never seen this ever before, except there was some rando in Indonesia who dropped a barbell on his wrist." They're like, "Did you do anything like that?" I was like, "Not to my knowledge." Um, So anyway, I would contribute it to like a heavy racket and a janky serve and like a few other things, like stringing my racket too tightly. Anyway, I mean, yeah, again, it changed my identity. Like at that point, music was a big part of my life as well. But like I was like the tennis player rapper, like, you know what I'm saying? That's who I was.
Mm.
And yeah, I think a lot of things happened that I didn't realize until later on. Like I didn't realize when I first like quit tennis for 5 years, like how essential getting sunlight, being with friends, sweating, competing. I didn't understand at that moment how critical that is to like my vitality and my mental health, right? Um, and when I got back into it, um, I lost some weight. I'm playing tennis again. I'm reconnecting with old friends that I hadn't talked to in 10 years. And I'm like, oh, like, yeah, this is super important for me. This is a key part of who I am. But initially, I was just kind of like, all right, like, whatever. It is what it is.
Do you feel like that injury was the catalyst for that rough period that you had in your 20s?
Mm, yes and no. Definitely was a part of it, right? But I think there were some other things involved there as well. I think just like when I was in my like late teens, early 20s, like everyone was like, you're going to be the next Eminem. Like you're so talented, yada, yada, yada. And I just never put the work in. Like I just never put the work in. Like I would go out and freestyle for like a group of 300 people and like everyone would be like, AC is incredible. But then I would go 2 weeks without writing a song, right? Work ethic was garbage. So like I would feel those highest of highs, but it's like, if you don't put the work in, like, you're not going to get the results, especially in something like that. In pickleball, I kind of got lucky because like you play a match, but in music, if you're not doing the work in music, like, especially nowadays with the way that the music industry is, like you're never going to have any success. So I would say like that was the bigger thing for me, was like putting so much pressure on myself to be like a superstar in music. And I just never really leaned into it.
Did you feel like your true path was that more of an athlete or a musician?
Mm, Probably athlete. I'd lean athlete, like probably 45, 55. Like I think I'm going to do both for the next like whatever, however many years. Like I think they'll kind of work hand in hand in conjunction for, I don't know, however long, right? But yeah, I would say probably athlete first and musician second.
What about your mother? About who she is and what she does, that you said you get that creative characteristic from her. What does she do creatively?
I mean, she's written children's books. We actually were talking about doing like a pickleball children's book today. She and I were talking about it. I think it's a brilliant
Okay.
idea.
I agree.
I don't know if anyone's tapped into that yet, but yeah, my mom is just a free thinker. Like she's like the person who like sends birthday gifts to like my cousins, like whatever, like my whole life. Like my dad's like, who are you buying this for? Like, and she's like, it's for like my sorority sister's like sister. And he's like, why are you buying them like a basket and a card? And like that's just who she is. So like that's like when this happened, like my dad is not this way. Like he's very like he's an engineer, he went to Purdue, like, but my mom, like I honestly can't think of one person that doesn't like my mom, like in my whole life growing up, like because she's just sweet. Like there's nothing, you know what I mean? So
Mm. The reason I asked that is because it's funny, and I'll say funny, how so many of those characteristics become so prevalent the further you get down the road. Um, Meaning, like, you giving the feedback right now, it sounds like you felt like you never fully gave everything you had to the music half,
mm-hmm.
but you have learned to like appreciate it more and more as you've aged.
Yes,
Is what
100%.
I'm kind of getting from you.
Yeah, 100%. And like that's why I think like
So,
now, like I'm like right now, dude, I'm sleeping like 5-6 hours a night, but like I get up at 5:30 and like with a head full of steam, you know. And I'm like, damn, I wish I would have been able to do this a while ago. But like I said, I think I'm in a position now to where I can handle it all and like really, um, take it all in and enjoy it, but crush it.
what allows you to get up and be so excited about life? Like, what are those things that you think about?
Mm, Yeah, just again, like especially with this happening to my mom, like everything could change in an instant. You could be on cloud nine for 1 second, get a phone call, and then you know, the earth beneath you is not there anymore. So it's like, I'm on a good path right now. I know I am. I know I'm closer. I'm closer to being the best version of myself today than I've ever been before. So right now, that is like my biggest motivation. It's like I'm not even close, I don't think, to the best version of myself, but I'm closer than I've ever been, and I know that, and like that's powerful for me because I've had so many days, so many times waking up from long naps or whatever, where I'm like, damn, dude, like you've got a lot of potential, but at this point, are we ever going to get there, brother? You know, lots of conversations like that. And it's like, you keep thinking, well, I'm only 31. Like, all right, like I'm only 29. Like, yeah, okay. Uh, Never thought I would get there, and I'm not there yet, but I'm closer than I've ever been. So that's what's kind of driving me right now.
Do you feel like you fell short in your tennis journey, as you just said, with your musician career that allows you to wake up with that chip on your shoulder?
Yeah, for sure. But I also like I don't think I like loved it as much as I love the pickleball competition. Like I don't think I was
Mm.
naturally as good at tennis as I am at pickleball. Like I'm not like I'm 5'11", although my license does say 6 feet. But like in tennis, I knew that I could never be number one in the world in tennis. Like a
Yeah.
5'11" dude is never going to be number one in the world. It'll never happen, especially now. These dudes are all like 6'5", no fat on their torso, big old legs. Like it just wasn't going to happen for me, and I knew that. Whereas in pickleball, like first, like after a month, I was like, I'm going to be number one in the world. And people still were like, you're an idiot, but you know maybe I'm not. So
What do you? I'll start with pickleball. What do you love so much about it?
hitting passing shot winners, clean winners. That's like my favorite experience on the court. Um, Aside from that, like I do actually really like that it's so easy to play. Like I've done like tennis clinics for beginners, and it's like painful, like so painful. Like for me to watch like the level of ineptitude, like it's hard. And they don't have fun either because it's like we can't hit the ball back to each other more or less like once. But in pickleball, like I always tell the story. Like I did a clinic for like a beautician team, and it was just like a bunch of like young pretty people, and like they were like and they were rallying and they were running around and like they had the best time ever. And I'm like, if we were on a tennis court, like I would have wanted to eat chalk. Like it would have been a much different experience entirely because it's like it's just harder to like get to the point where it's fun. So I really do like that
Yeah,
about pickleball.
that is such a big challenge in tennis. I mean, as you talked about the barrier for entry being so low when it comes to skill, like if you can't rally a tennis ball, you are having zero fun.
Zero,
Zero
zero,
fun.
100%.
Yeah.
I tell people that all the time. Like it's not fun if you can't rally. And even people like that like play tennis like 3-4 times a week, like occasionally I'll play in like a doubles match and I'm like, God, this sucks. Like let's play points with the basket so we keep this moving. Like we're serve in the net, walk to get the ball, walk back, serve, miss return, walk back to the baseline. I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys like doing this? I'm like, this is terrible. But you know, better than not being able to rally at all.
Yeah, I think that it's clear of why so many people have loved pickleball and why it's exploded. On the music side, why do you love music so much?
I think it's just all about the feeling you get when you listen to it. It has the like
Describe it to me.
I went through a stretch where like I refused to listen to music because I wouldn't refuse to listen to music, but I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it because like the association with music reminded me of my own failures within it, if that makes any sense. So like
Interesting.
I
Yeah.
literally like went a good chunk of change with like without getting excited for albums, without whatever. Like sure I'd listen to something on the radio, but yeah, so like for a while, like I almost hated music because every time I'd hear like a good rap song, I'd be like, it could have been you, you loser, but you couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, for me now, like it's just about an energy shift. Like I think it can give you just that natural energy. I also think that it can sort of like narrate a moment. You know what I mean? I think music has the power to like, it's like you're in this place, right? A beautiful setting or whatever it is, or a not beautiful setting, and like you could hear a certain song and be like, yeah, like this is the soundtrack for what this is right now. And I love that about music.
You're describing a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
right? Can you give me more on what the feeling is that you're chasing?
Mm. Yeah, harmony, I would say. Something along those lines, like something that feels in sync, like where it's like this is what I meant, where I meant to be, who I meant to be, who I'm meant to be with. And I think music can just kind of like set the stage for that. So
Would you
harmony is what I
describe
would
that
say.
as would you describe that as like true presence?
Yeah, 100%. I do think music can give you like that mental clarity. Like for me, like when I'm like in a spot, like I remember I was in a rooftop in Queens. It was like rainy, and this was actually the night before my final, so like things changed the next morning. But like I was just feeling like Batman, like on the top of this like Chinese hotel, and I like just threw on this song that like you probably don't even know who Young Lean is. Maybe you do. This like Swedish kid who makes like rap, and this song came out like 15 years ago, and I was like, this is what I'm feeling right now. And I put it on, and I was just like looking at the skyscrapers, and I was like, yep. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's
Yeah,
I threw it on, and I was like, this is where this is it. This is the song for this.
I do. It's kind of crazy the impact that music can have on your mood,
Right.
right? In so many different directions. I'm definitely an individual that is close to music in my own right. I use it heavily to help shift in mood, right? Whether it's too high or too low. Like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going into a match and I feel cold, I'll
Yeah.
do something to amp me up. If I'm on the other side, I sometimes even listen to a podcast to calm me down. Like it's just a normal conversation before I'm walking into a match. So there's so many things that music and audio can do. It's pretty impressive. So from you being an artist, I wanted to hear, how you feel it and even what you're doing in that creative space to create new tunes like you have coming up, right? I don't know if you can tease it for us or not, but I know that we talked behind the scenes a little bit about
Um,
what you are formulating or having going on.
yeah, I'll touch on it a little bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, we have a single coming out that I recorded this week. I'm actually going to the studio tonight just to like touch it up a little bit. That's named after
Hell yeah.
a very prominent pickleball player in the world of pickleball. This particular person has cleared us for this song, and I can just tell you there are a few people in the pickleball world who have heard this song and think that this is going to be an anthem of all anthems for the world of pickleball. So I mean, long term, like my plan was already to record an EP this summer. That's like pickleball coded, not about pickleball, but like pickleball themed, if that makes sense. Called The Rise and Fall of
Yep.
Pickleball Paul, which is my alias. That was already planned. Um, but yeah, this single I think is going to be big. We're going to shoot a music video for it next week, I think, and yeah,
I
hopefully
love that.
release it somewhere around San Clemente. I don't know. I'm just trying to do all the things right now. Like I got the time, I got the energy, so it's like, why not? You know what I mean?
What does what's that creative process like? Like walk us through even someone like myself who's kind of uneducated in the music industry, consumes a lot of it, but doesn't understand the backside of the work that it takes to actually complete something like that. Like what does that creative process
Like
look
writing a
like?
song.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, for me, like, and I'm gonna sound like probably a dickwad here, but like, I don't have writer's block. Like, if you sent me a beat and we're like, write a song about the willow tree, like, I'll come back to you in an hour and a half with a song about a willow tree. I've always been like that my entire life. So like, for me, like, writing has just been a sense of like, don't be lazy. So like,
Mm.
first I need the beat. I'll listen to it like probably for like 30 minutes. Typically, a melody will come to my head first of how I want. I'll start with the hook. Like, I need the hook to be a line, and so a melody will come, a few words, maybe a few phrases, and then I'll like actually start writing. So I'll write the hook first, and that's just me listening to the beat on a loop over and over and over and over again, and then I'll go back to the verses, and that's the same thing. So like some people I know a lot of people like rappers who like write the verses and then like adjust their cadences and stuff to the beat. Like I just sit there and loop the beat over and over and over and
Mm.
over and over again. So I'm actually writing it to the beat, if that makes sense. But it typically takes me,
I
I would
get it.
say, anywhere between like 2 to 3 hours to write a song.
What does that mental map look like? Like how are you pulling those words together to overlay them in your brain with the actual melody or beat that you're listening to?
I've just done it for so long, dude. It's like second nature to me, to be honest. I know, like when I was first learning how to do it, when I was like 12 to like 18 or something, maybe it was different. But like at this stage of my life, like I've I've rapped so many freaking times that it's like I just know how to do it. Like there isn't sometimes like I try to like go back and make it more concise because like occasionally I just like throwing too many words in there, which like I can do it. Like I can rap extremely fast, but like for the listener, sometimes that's too much. So I think now like I'm just trying to like clean it up a little bit. But yeah, dude, I've always been like done that a million times to where like someone's like, all right, make a song about me for my like this year down in South Florida, like there was a lady there who's a member at my club who was having her 66th birthday party. And her husband was like, can you MC the trivia night, like with a mic, and then also do a birthday rap for Amanda? And I was like, yeah, okay. So like, I mean, these are just things that I've been doing my whole life. Like, so I went and I did a rap and everyone's like, oh my God. It's like, yeah, I mean, whatever. That's what I do. But a lot of things.
When was your first rap?
Like 12 years old.
Were you nervous at all?
When I like wrote it?
When you did it? Did you do it in front of a group of people?
Yeah, I remember. I literally know what it is.
Yeah, tell me.
All right, you want some? Come and get it. I'll tear you up almost faster than I can spit it. Admit it. You can't compete with me. There's no contest. You think you can test my skills, and that's nonsense. Still goes hard.
It does go hard.
First ever rap I ever wrote.
What made you write that?
I don't know.
What was the scenario?
I had a neighbor like in Chicago who like wore Kango hats and like was wearing like XXXL t-shirts from Champs. And he was older than me, so I looked up to him and he was like rapping and he was terrible. But I was like, all right, I'm going to rap too. And then like, I don't know. I listened to a lot of like, I was listening to Eminem like when I was like 8, you know what I mean? So like I like had been hearing like intricate rhyme schemes and things like that. So like once I sort of figured that out, I was like, all right, like I can do this. And I have a good voice for it, I think. Like some people can rap, but they have stupid voices, so it just doesn't work.
You know what? It's the same thing with commentary or any sort of audio version. Like some people are really good at understanding a game and the analysis behind it, but are just not good on a microphone when you're listening to a sports game.
Right.
So I completely get that. Before we get into our final questions, which has now become a little bit of a tradition on our podcast, I want to get into the future of what's next for you, which is, what's the dream for Alex Crum? The next 6 months, next 5 years, what's the dream here?
Yeah, I mean, long term, or well, I don't know how long term, but I want to be the number one singles player in the world. That was my goal when I started playing pickleball. I want to be number one in the world for a good amount of chunk of change, few years, whatever that may be. I want to put out music. I want to become a top 10 doubles player in the world. I want to go on a tour, continue to do my podcast, like try to help other people, buy my parents a nice house. Like I want to do all the things that I always thought I would do, but was starting to have my doubts. Like, all right, like you're kind of running out of time here, Buster. But yeah, man, I want to do all the things. So in my immediate future, like I have a tournament this weekend in Kentucky, a doubles tournament, which there's actually some pretty good pros here. And then I'm going to San Clemente a week from Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be fun. I've heard it's like beautiful in San Clemente. So
I've heard so too. I've never been, but I've also heard your podcast. I know it's relatively new. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. So, my friend who is also my agent founded this company called Cracked Rackets, which does very well in the tennis media space. They have like 3 top 10 tennis podcasts. Shout out to Alex Gruskin. He's the face of their tennis there. And he approached me about doing a pod, and this was like months ago. And I was like, yeah, like I think I would be good at it. You know what I mean? Like I can obviously run my mouth. So like this was in the works, and I had to convince my friend Kevin Dong, who like does pickleball content, and like he's very like reserved and soft spoken, but like thoughtful and cautious, like everything that I'm not. And I thought he would be a good person for me to do the pod with. And so, yeah, like he was very apprehensive about doing it at first because he's like, I already do content. I have a fiance. I have a finance job. Like I need to dink, like whatever. And like, obviously now he's all in. So like, I don't really have any like, goals with it in particularly. Like I think most pickleball podcasts are cheeks, to be frank, and like they're boring. So, on my end, it's like, I don't know, be authentic, like say what you think within reason. Don't be Like, I'm going to say what I think and give my takes. Like, I'll never be hateful or anything like that. But like, people can tell, I think, like on a pod when they're listening and someone's like completely holding back and not saying what they think. So that's kind of
I
the story there.
completely, I mean, I completely agree. I think the transparency and genuity in social media, there's not enough of it, if I'm being quite frank with you. So I am fully on board. Part of why we talk about what we do is just to be as transparent as possible about the highs and lows of life as a whole, right?
100%. And like, one thing I was like, cause like my parents were like, we know you sometimes when you start talking, and I was like, listen, I will never say anything mean or mean spirited. I'm like, Pat McAfee's literally on ESPN talking about smoking ayahuasca like 5 days a week and no one gives a shit. I'm like, if I make one little joke that's not bad or anything, like no one's going to care. Like, get off my back. Anyway, just wanted to say that. There's a line.
Listen, I completely, absolutely. And I think what has been better about culture moving forward, and maybe this has to do with post-COVID, but I've at least seen there not be such black and white lines
100%.
as there has been definitely moving forward. So that's an exciting time for me as a creator as well. So our final two closing questions.
Okay.
The first one is, what is your greatest fear moving forward?
Losing a loved one. I mean, that's pretty easy. It's on the tip of my tongue. But like losing someone, whether mom, dad, brother, sister, girlfriend, whatever. Definitely.
How about with pursuing pickleball and music? Any fears associated with either of those?
Breaking a leg? No. No, I guess maybe more so that like maybe I get to number one in the world or whatever, and then I take my foot off the gas and like start drinking sangria in Italy or something like that. Like, I do like to have fun. I mean, like I said, I don't really drink at all anymore because I'm so lasered in on what I'm trying to accomplish. But I could see myself in a hypothetical situation, like getting to the top of the pickleball mountain and then, like partying more than I should or something. Like I could see that happening. Like, I don't think it will because I've like done all that already and like I don't enjoy it anymore or anything like that. But like, it's different like when you're drinking like Miller High Lifes at your like crusty bar in Louisville. If I'm like out in, at Mr. Chow's in LA, I might feel differently about the whole experience. So that would be my like keep your head on straight, kid. That's what I'd say. But I know myself, so like it's possible.
Is that why it scares you? Because there's evidence that's showing you that you've done it before?
Yeah, 1,000%. Yeah, for sure. Like I know, you get one espresso martini in me and I'm lots of fun. You get two and it's like, hold on, So I know, and it never ends well. Like, I never get in fights. Like, I never, whatever. Like, I'm not mean. Yep. I'm not a mean guy like that. But it's like, it can deter me from accomplishing what I want to accomplish. So,
what's one failure you're most grateful for and why?
Yeah, probably the tennis. Probably failing in college tennis, whether it was related to a wrist injury or not, because I think it helped to persevere my body. Right, like. I'm not necessarily like a young buck, but like one thing people talk about when they see me play pickleball, they're like, God, this guy's like fast. He's quick. And I'm like, yeah, is he? Like, you know what I mean? Like, my body, honestly, dude, I'll tell you what, I don't feel anything. Like, I don't stretch. I don't do diddly jack squat. I'm going to soon, like we talked about. But like, I have not been sore. I have not been sore in like literally, I don't know, for a very long time. So like, I think because I had that 5-year break from like racket sports and really physical activity in general, like I think it's allowed me to sort of be like, still feel like I'm in my prime, which,
Absolutely. So this is our final question. If someone is eventually writing a book on your life, that very final chapter is going to be a summary of everything that has happened. What would you want that very final chapter to say?
I would want it to be like a collection of like anecdotes about how I made other people like nothing about me, but like how I made others feel. Like like I've gotten like various like notes from like one I think of from about in particular is from a 95-year-old woman who I play tennis with once a week down in Florida. And like she wrote me a birthday card talking about how like Tuesdays at 10 a.m. like are the most special time of her week, her favorite hour of the week. And like that meant more to me hearing that I'm bringing her that level of joy than like anything someone could say nice about me. So like I would like that like to be the final chapter, like a collection of the ways that I made other people feel. If that makes sense.
It is, and I absolutely love it. Well, Alex, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you, sir.
And really being vulnerable and really genuine and transparent. I admire that quality in so many individuals that are able to do that and also share the struggles that they've had and what they learned from them and ultimately those failures. So I could not appreciate more you coming on and being willing to do that.
Thank you, buddy. Anytime you want me to come on, I'm ready and willing, brother bear.